everyone, and thank you for being here today. We all forget things sometimes, where we put our phone or someone's name. But imagine waking up every morning with no idea who you are, where you live, or who the people around you are. That's what life is like for people with amnesia.
Today, we want to explain what amnesia really is, what causes it, what happens inside the brain, and how people and their families live with it. We'll also tell you about one of the most famous cases ever documented, the story of Cliff Waring, a musician whose life completely changed because of memory loss.
Amnesia is much more than just forgetting. It's a medical condition where the brain loses access to memories or loses the ability to make new ones. Sometimes it happens suddenly, like after an accident. Other times it develops slowly as a part of a disease or a long term damage.
People with amnesia might remember their childhood perfectly but forget what they did 10 minutes ago. It can change someone's whole identity because our memories are what define who we are. Without them, people often feel lost, disconnected, or like they're trapped in someone else's life.
Before we can understand amnesia, we need to understand how memory works. Think of memory as a three-step process. First, your brain encodes what you see or experience, like saving a file. Then it stores that information in your brain, mostly in the hippocampus or cortex. Finally, when you need it, you retrieve it. You recall that memory.
Any of these steps go wrong, if the brain can't store, can't retrieve, or the connection breaks, that's where amnesia begins. There are a few main types of amnesia, and each one affects people differently. With anterograde amnesia, someone can't make new long term memories. Every moment feels like it's happening for the first time. With retrograde amnesia, the past is what's lost. Childhood, relationships, and major life events all gone. Then there is transit global amnesia, a rare and sudden form that can last for a few hours before it completely disappears.
Finally, psychogenetic amnesia doesn't come from physical damage. It comes from trauma. It's like the mind protecting itself from something too painful to remember.
One of the most famous cases of amnesia is Clive Wearing, a brilliant British musician and conductor.
In the 1980s, Cliff got a brain infection called encephalitis, which severely damaged his hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for forming new memories.
Since then, Clive can remember only about 7 to 30 seconds at a time. Every few moments, it feels like he's waking up again for the first time. He writes in his diary things like, I am awake for the first time now, dozens of times a day.
But here's what's amazing. When he sits at a piano, he plays beautifully. His procedural memory, the memory of skills, is still intact. That shows how different parts of the brain handle different kinds of memory.
Completely changed, and so did his wife, Deborah. He lives in a supervised home, and Deborah visits him regularly. He doesn't remember her logically, but he feels love for her every time he sees her, as if meeting her for the first time. Their story shows both the pain and the beauty of memory loss. The human heart can still feel emotion even when the brain forgets the reason why.
His wife once said, it's like losing someone again and again, but he's still there. Families of amnesia patients often live between hope and heartbreak, rebuilding connection one day at a time.
Amnesia can come from many causes. Physical causes include car accidents, head trauma, strokes, or lack of oxygen to the brain, for example, after drowning or a heart attack.
Infections like encephalitis, which Cliff had, can also destroy memory regions. But not all amnesia is physical. Sometimes it's mental. Emotional trauma, abuse, or extreme stress can make the brain shut off painful memories as a form of self defense.
When someone gets amnesia, something very real happens inside the brain. The hippocampus, our brain's memory center, is usually damaged. This area helps transfer short term memories into long term storage.
If it's injured, the brain can still experience things, but it can't store them. There are also chemical changes. Neurotransmitter like acetylcholine and glutamate stop working properly, which means messages between brain cells can't pass efficiently.
That's why memories stop forming. It's like a broken bridge between experience and recall. The effects of amnesia aren't only biological, they're deeply emotional. Imagine not recognizing your family or seeing your own home and feeling like a stranger there.
Many patients experience severe anxiety, frustration, and even depression. Some describe it as living in a fog. They often struggle with identity because if your memories define you, who are you when they're gone? It's one of the hardest psychological experiences a person and their family can face.
Diagnosing amnesia starts with brain imaging, like MRI or CT scans, to check for physical damage. Doctors also use memory and language tests to see which part of the memory are affected.
There's no permanent cure, but there are treatments that help people adapt.
Therapy focuses on creating routines, using notes, diaries, and alarms to compensate for a lost memory.
Rehabilitation helps patients relearn everyday skills and rebuild confidence in small steps.
In the past, amnesia was misunderstood. People were sometimes treated with electroshock therapy or even accused of faking it. Today, modern neuroscience has changed everything. We understand how memory is stored and we use personalized therapy plans, cognitive training, and technology like reminder apps or wearable memory aids.
Families are also involved in therapy because emotional support plays a huge role in recovery.
There is no single pill that restores memory. However, medication can help manage symptoms like anxiety or depression that often come with amnesia.
Sometimes antidepressants or anti anxiety drugs are prescribed, but these can also cause drowsiness, confusion, or dependence if used long term. In rare cases, medication itself, especially sedatives or sleeping pills, can trigger short term amnesia episodes. A few real examples. The sleeping drug zolpidem, known as Ambien, can sometimes cause temporary amnesia. People do things at night and have no memory of it the next day.
Excessive alcohol can also cause blackouts, a kind of short term amnesia caused by interference with memory formation in the brain.
These examples show how fragile our memory system really is, and how small chemical imbalances can completely change how we experience life.
Even though amnesia can't be fully cured, there's still hope. The brain is incredibly adaptable. It can form new pathways and learn new ways to remember.
Patients like Cliff Waring prove that even without memories, people can still feel love, create art, and live meaningful lives.
Family support is absolutely vital. With patience, love, and structure, many families find ways to build new kinds of connections even without shared memories.
To end, Amnesia teaches us something powerful about what it means to be human. Memory isn't just information, it's the foundation of who we are. When it's lost, it reminds us that identity isn't only about the past, but also about the love, connection, and emotion that still remain.
Science can explain how amnesia happens, but empathy helps people truly live with it. Thank you for listening. To get you involved, we have prepared a crossword puzzle. You can do it alone or in teams of two, whichever you prefer. And the person who wins gets a package of Kinder bars.